Okay, welcome everyone. We continue the learning of Cheskes Abatim with Mishna Hay in the third parak. Lili Nishmas Basi Bas Rabbat Shlomo ben Avram Alevi Perel Bas Ruvain. Also Zeich Nishmas David ben Chaim L'Rufus Shalem for Yomis ben Chaisar, for the Tzchus of Avram ben Yom Benish ben Malk Yehudis and family, for Yoel Kugman, for Gesund Parnas and Nachas, and L'Rufus Shalem for Meir ben Chaisara. Elu Dvarim Sheyesh Lem Chazaka. The following items, if you do them for 3 years, you develop a chazaka. The following activities, you don't develop a chazaka because it's not something that the person would protest about. So it's no raya. You see, he didn't protest because it's not something that he would protest. The following, there's no chazaka. Let's say Yaakov and I share a courtyard, and he keeps an animal in the courtyard, or tana v'kirayim v'reichayim, or an oven, a double stove, a mill. These are all things that if I'm going to want him to not do it anymore, I'll tell him when it bothers me. It's not of a permanent nature that I should have to protest right away. Or megadol tarnagaylim, or if he has some chickens, or v'noisin zivloi b'chotzer, or in a corner he puts some fertilizer, some manure, ain't a chazaka. However, if he does something of a more permanent nature, if he puts up a wall around his animal, he puts a wall around the oven, the double stove, the mill. Or we share a house and he brings chickens into the house. Now, unless he made an arrangement, I'm going to protest right away. Or if he fashioned a place for the manure, amik shleisha, deep 3 tvachim, a gevaya shleisha, or high 3 tvachim, that I wouldn't allow unless he paid me for it. He made an arrangement with me, and if I don't protest after 3 years, harizu chazaka, and he has a chazaka. Now, connected to a gutter is a spout. The water runs across the gutter and it comes out through a spout, through a downspout. If, let's say, Yaakov has a spout on the right side of the field, he doesn't have a chazaka to keep it in that place. Let's say I want to put up a sukkah, so I could tell him you should move the spout to another side. But I can't tell him that he can't have a spout. He's allowed to have a spout. If he has a gutter running on this side of the house, and I tell him, no, I want you to put it on another side of the house. No, he has a chazaka. If he had 3 years on this side of the house, then he has a chazaka. Sulam HaMitzri, if he has a ladder with less than 4 rungs, that's a very portable ladder. He doesn't have a chazaka that I can't tell him, look, I don't want the ladder there anymore. It's not a permanent thing. I let him do it when it's not in my way. But if it's a bigger ladder, that's more of a permanent fixture, and I didn't protest for 3 years, then yesh le chazaka. Then he has a chazaka, and I can't tell him to move it. Chaloin ha-mitzvus, an Egyptian window, that's a window that you can't fit your head through. It's such a small window that it really doesn't cause privacy issues. Then ein lo chazaka. If Yaakov has such a window, he doesn't have a chazaka because I let him have it there. But if I want to build a wall and block it, I can't. However, the latzaris, if it's a big window which would be involved with a harm privacy, then we assume that if it's there for 3 years, he made an arrangement with me. Yesh lo chazaka. Ezui chaloin ha-mitzvus. What's a small window? Kol shein roishe shel adam yochel likanas l'soicha. You can't even fit your head through it. Rabbi Yehuda says it's only considered such a temporary window if it doesn't have a frame. Im yesh la malbing, if it has a frame, however, even though you can't put your head through it, harizu chazak. It's a chazak if it's there three years. I can't put a wall in front of it to block its light. Haziz. Now, sometimes people have a projection coming out of their house, which they hang things on. So, ada atefach, if it's long, let's say it's 2 tefachim, up to 1 tefach, then if it's there 3 years, I can't tell Yaakov to remove it. Harizu chazaka. And that means, why? Because if it's such a long projection, I could tell him not to do it. The fact that I didn't tell him not to do it for 3 years, that means he developed the chazaka, and now when I want to put up a wall, I can't tell him to remove it. Pachas metefach, but if it's a small projection, less than a tefach, ain't like chazaka. I just let him have it there when it doesn't cause me any problems. If I want to put up a wall, I'll tell him to remove it. And therefore, I can't tell him to remove it for no reason, unless I want to put up a wall. And therefore, since that's something which, is people, say, listen, if I need it, I'll tell him. But it's not something that I'm going to protest with right away. Therefore, he doesn't develop a chazaka. We want to thank you all for joining us. Reb Chanani ben Akasha